First of all, thanks everyone for coming to this session and looking at what I'm going to talk about with Power BI embedding. I've given the session the last 2 years, and it turns out that this year there's a whole bunch of new stuff that makes something where if you came and absorbed all the stuff we talked about last year, we now have a new authentication library, the Microsoft Authentication Library. We have the new app-only authentication capabilities that are new to Power BI, which is going to be a best practice. So the way that we used to have to do it with the app owns data model is now no longer the way that we should be doing it. So going through kind of that material here is going to be important. Okay, a couple things to note. Thanks everyone for taking that survey. My name's Ted Pattison. I've been developing and teaching and writing training courses for 25 years or so. I do a lot of user group stuff in Tampa with Power BI, Power Apps, and Flow. I have a company called Critical Path Training. We have all kinds of wonderful courses like Power BI Developer Bootcamp. And anyone come to the Power BI Developer in a Day earlier this week? Okay, so a couple people came there. We're going to have that course, also available online. So also the sample code is going to be available. So if I follow this link right here, or let's say I go back over here into github.com and Critical Path Training, and then we go to Power BI Embedded. So I'm going to show about 5 demos. And the demos, some PowerShell scripts, and the slides, are all available here to you. So you can just basically download those. Anyone who filled out the survey and put in a valid email address, should get basically an email that has the same information inside there. Okay, now let's kind of start with Power BI embedding fundamentals. We're also going to talk about authentication with Azure AD and getting the access token. And even though that's not, an important part, once you start programming, with the Power BI .NET SDK, you can't get started with anything else until you tackle the problem of how to get access tokens and how to authenticate and how to work with Azure AD. Some of the other things that are going to be new is we're going to talk about app-only authentication. So if you're using the app owns data model, that is the new best practice. We're going to look at single-page applications. So after using Visual Studio for a while, we'll get tired of that and we'll say we need something new. So Node.js and Visual Studio Code and working with React and TypeScript. I'm going to basically step through an example of a single-page application. We still have to get access tokens. But there is a JavaScript version of the Microsoft Authentication Library that I'm going to step through and show in that demo. And then when we get to the very end, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Power BI JavaScript API. Okay, now when we think about the Power BI service, that thing that users go to at app.powerbi.com, that's the user interface aspect. And for regular users who aren't developers, Power BI works very well as a software as a service style application. And users don't need to know anything. They just basically connect and start using the service. Now, as developers, we really care about the platform as a service, or the PaaS capabilities of Power BI. And our first entry point into those features, the PaaS features, is being able to work with the Power BI Service API, which is available at api.powerbi.com. Now, one of the things that you have to at least know the basics of to be a developer is the things that the non-developers do, and that's basically building content. So while this session we're not going to drill down into Power BI Desktop or creating app workspaces, just a working knowledge of we have a project, we need to create an app workspace, we need to populate that app workspace with content, probably pushing up PBX files and basically creating data sets and reports, and then also being able to create dashboards. So let's say that I navigate back over here, and we go, back into Power BI, and I have a couple different app workspaces that we're going to be demoing through, and just basically having the data sets, the reports, and the dashboards, is going to be an important aspect of then doing the development work to start taking that content that you or someone else, has built and being able to surface it in your custom applications. Really that's the goal that we have. Now, let's kind of take a 10,000-foot look at Power BI embedding. There's lots of different scenarios, but they're all similar in this high-level characteristic that you're writing a browser-based application, a user starts using your application, And so you need to talk to the Power BI Service API, but before you do that, you got to get an access token. And that means you have to be able to programmatically interact with Azure AD and go through what we call an authentication flow. And the whole purpose of an authentication flow is to get an access token that allows me to call into a service, in our case, the Power BI service. Now, once we get the access token, we can call into the Power BI service. I want to embed something like a report. So I make a call in, and sometimes you might hard code a report GUID. Other times you might need to enumerate through and discover what the report GUID is. But somehow you have to get the embedding information, which is the ID, the GUID for a report or dashboard. You have to get something called the embed URL. And then you have to get a security token. Now let's kind of just leave that shrouded in mystery for a second. What I mean by an access token, there's two different kinds. But once you get your security token, you're going to pass it back to the browser. And once we have all that data back in the browser, the last thing that we do is we do the final piece with a JavaScript API, which is known as the Power BI JavaScript API. We basically call a simple method, and we pass the data that we need. And what's going to happen is it's going to create an iframe, and it's going to directly embed our object right back to the Power BI service. So after we go through this dance, of getting all the information and calling powerbi.embed, everything we've done drops out, and now that user on whatever web page that you're developing has a direct connection with that report or that dashboard or that tile, right back into Power BI. Okay. Now we also have to differentiate between two very different models. So there is first-party embedding and third-party embedding. Microsoft likes to use the term user owns data and app owns data. So the idea of first-party embedding or user owns data means that when you authenticate, you're going to authenticate the current user. So now you have an access token that has the identity of the current user. When you call into the Power BI Service API, you can basically do anything that user has permissions to do. Other things that are important is that every user is going to need an Azure AD account, probably in the same tenant, but it could be in a different tenant. You could have a guest account, but also that user is going to have a Power BI license. And whether it's a free license or a Power BI Pro license depends on whether your content is being served out of a premium capacity or not. Now, the second model that we have, what Microsoft calls the app owns data model, I like to refer to as third-party embedding. That's when your application connects to the back end, to the Power BI service, without the identity of any particular user. Some users are administrators and should have lots of permissions. Some users, don't have very many permissions at all. But when we're calling into the back end, we're not calling under the identity of a user. We're basically using this app-only identity, and we're basically able to access everything as an admin. So what gets to be important there is that you have to kind of design and then implement the authorization layer that determines what users can do. Now the big benefit of this is that you can create an application and you can start servicing Power BI reports and dashboards to users that have no Microsoft accounts, no Power BI licensing. Microsoft has no idea who they are. So for companies that are independent software vendors, companies that have customer-facing portals and don't want to have to go through the hassle of getting Power BI licenses for anyone who wants to see one of their reports, this model gets to be a very attractive thing. Now, of course, you do have to pay Microsoft, so when we use third-party embedding, in any type of production environment, you have to have a dedicated capacity, and whether you go through and get Power BI premium capacities, or you go to Azure and get the Microsoft Azure Power BI embed service capacities, there's different reasons you might want to use one or the other of those. Okay, now what are the different things that we can embed? So we can embed reports. Reports are a little bit better than the other objects because reports support editing. It's not just read-only, but I can open up a report, and then for my user, I can basically open the report in edit mode, let that user make changes, save those changes back to the workspace. We also have dashboards, dashboard tiles, new reports, and the QA experience. Okay, now it's also possible when you embed a report to use a custom layout. So let's say I have a report, simple report, one page, 3 visuals. So one of the tricks that I can do is to basically surface that report with a custom layout, and my layout might say, hide visuals 2 and 3, only show 1, and forget about what width and height that visual has on the report. I basically just want to resize it to whatever container I have inside there. What's kind of neat about that is that after you apply a custom layout, you can dynamically apply another layout on top of it. So you could have something that shows visual 1, full screen, and then they click a button, and you basically switch to a different layout that shows visual 2 full screen. And what's kind of neat about that is that the report loads in behind the scenes. Everything's loaded. So as you switch between different custom layouts, it's lightning fast, because there's nothing else that it has to load inside. Okay, so those are the different things that we have. Let's go ahead and take our first look. So there's quite a few demos that I'm going to show. If I go, into the folder, which is the exact same as the folder I showed you up in GitHub, and let's go here. Let's open up this app owns data app inside here. And so I'm going to go ahead and start this up, and we just kind of want to see Power BI embedding from the user perspective. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start this app. As I start the app, in a different tab, let's go back to Power BI. Let's go back to the data, or the report that I'm actually going to be showing inside there, and take a look at, what does this report look like. Okay, now we go back here, and I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and this kind of should allow me to kind of see that report. Now, what would happen if back here in the service, someone who's kind of managing the content behind the scenes for the application I'm writing, can basically go back into, some type of a live report. And just to make a very simple change right here, I'm going to go down and I'm just going to kind of change the data color. And now let's go ahead and save what I've done. And what we're going to see is if I go back here and refresh, my custom application is looking at the very same report. Okay, that's kind of neat. But now, let's do it the other way. Let's have this user, and notice that I can just take a report and put it into edit mode, and it's all controlled through writing client-side JavaScript code. So now what we're able to do is we can, have this user do the same thing. Let's go back here, change the data color, to something really exciting like purple. And notice that when you use Power BI Embedding, you don't have to add these menus. They're just part of the embedded object that you have. I'll go ahead and choose Save inside here. I come back, and automatically, you can see that we have that update. Let's go back and look at the different reports that I have. And now what I want to do is let's create a new report. So what you're able to do is either embed an existing report, or you can point to a data set and create a new report. So I go back here. I'll do something very, very simple here. We'll take sales revenue over months. And now that we have this inside here, let's go ahead and save my report. And as I save the report, go ahead and choose OK. I don't have to worry really about where the thing gets stored. I go back here, and you can kind of see that once again, you just have an app workspace on the back end, and it gets to be fairly easy for you, if your type of application wants to allow customization on the part of your users and adding new reports, it fully supports that inside there. Okay, so let's keep going through here. So the next thing we want to do is talk about working with the authentication libraries. Okay, now if I go back, and let's go back to attendee surveys. And I had a couple people fill out surveys when we come in the back, and we kind of see how many people have experience with the Active Directory Authentication Library, about half of you. How many people have experience with a new one that just went GA, the Microsoft Authentication Library? Not very many. Okay, now, the older library that some of you have used, is what we call the Microsoft or the Azure AD Authentication Library, or ADL. Now, Microsoft has a separate endpoint. So ADL was a library that sat on top of the V1 endpoint. And over the last 5 or 6 years, we started seeing that there were things about the V1 endpoint that weren't quite as flexible. For instance, when you configure permissions and the user consents to permissions, it got to be very hard to add extra required permissions to your application without basically resetting the permissions. So the Microsoft Authentication Library, or MSAL, is going to give you much better ways to dynamically, increment the consent of different permissions. There's also new authentication flows. And the other reason why you might want to move to the Microsoft Authentication Library is you don't want people to think you're AAD retentive. Okay. Another bad joke. Okay, I can tell you guys really like these bad jokes, so there'll be some more. What type of authentication flows can we use? So there's one that we've been using a lot with app owns data, which is the user password credential flow, where basically code just needs access to the username and password. And what we've seen is that even though it was the only way to accomplish, a task, it has a lot of issues. And one is, if you're running the app owns data model, it's not a human being. It's a daemon account that's reaching in. But yet, Azure Active Directory says if it's a human being and we have something like multi-factor authentication, we're going to prompt that user and basically send them an access code. And so we see applications, that have hard-coded passwords just basically fail. So moving to, a different style of authentication is going to be important. Now, there's a new device code flow, which is part of the Microsoft Authentication Library. And the idea is that when we begin to authenticate, you get back a device code, and then you have to log into a particular page, put the device code in, and then you're going to be able to acquire an access token. The one that we like for app owns data is what we call client credential flow. And the idea is that the application authenticates as itself, not as a human being. And that's the new feature that we have in the Power BI Service API, and we're going to look at it in a lot more detail. We have a couple other ones. Authorization code flow. If you have user-based authentication, that's the most secure one. And then a little bit later in the session, I'm also going to be showing something which is called implicit flow. Now, if you have worked with Azure AD Applications, the next question is, have you worked with them in the last 3 or 4 weeks? Because one of the things that's happened is they've totally redone the UI. So what Microsoft has done is they've kind of moved from the V1 endpoint to V2. So V2 has been in preview for about 2 years, and finally it went GA. The Microsoft Authentication Library went GA, and also this new experience, here inside the Azure portal is all new as well. So let's say that I wanted to, create an Azure AD application. There is this process of going through and creating a new application. When we create an application, it can either be created, as what we call a public client or a confidential client. And the idea is that public clients generally can't keep secrets because they are installed on a client machine or they run entirely within the browser. And we're going to assume that if you had a password, the bad guy would be able to go and see it. So if you have something like an ASP.NET application, that has server-side web.config files or appsetting.json files, we can keep secrets there. But the idea is that we just need to be able to have something akin to a password to be able to use those. Now, another thing, when we create Azure AD applications, they have permissions. And we have delegated permissions, which are user permissions. So the idea is if I log in and I get an access token for a user, I need delegated permissions to be able to call into an API on behalf of that user. There's also application permissions if you get an app-only token. Now, we don't have to go into application permissions in more detail because the Power BI Service API does not support them. So when we get to app-only authentication, we're going to kind of walk through and talk about how it works. And it makes sense once you see the light, but a lot of us kind of were thrown off at first because of, how they made app-only authentication work. And that's one of the big things we're going to look at. Now, another thing is that if you have user authentication, the very first time a user authenticates and my app requires delegated permissions, Azure AD has this consent framework, and right after the user puts in username and password, the very first time, we're going to pop up this dialog saying to the user, do you consent to this application using these permissions on your behalf? So one of the big issues that we've had with app-only applications that happen to use a user account and that user password credential is once this consent dialog is necessary to come up, but if you're just trying to authenticate with a server-to-server call with the password, it just fails because the user hasn't consented. So the need to consent for delegated permissions and multi-factor authentication are the two big issues that have made authenticating as a user for the app owns data model something we want to get away from. Okay, next thing we want to look at here is when we create an Azure AD application, something else gets created which is called a security principal. Now, a quick explanation of why we need both the application, which has its own GUID, and the security principal is an Azure AD application, if it's created in Tenant A, can be used by users in Tenant A and Tenant B and Tenant C. So when that application runs in different tenants, it needs a unique identity for each tenant. So that's basically why we have this need for a separate security principal. But even in cases where you just have a single tenant, you still have a security principal as something we have to think about. Okay, now let's say that I could create applications, by doing the click, click, click thing. What many of us like to do, both in development and for pushing things out, with DevOps in production, is to script things out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. Let's go and look at this script right here. And so I want to create something called my Azure AD application. And so there are a bunch of commandlets that are part of the Azure AD commandlet set for PowerShell. So let's go ahead and run this right here. And as I run this script, I should be able to kind of come back here. And if I refresh, I should be able to kind of see, hey, we just created this Azure AD application. One of the things that people find a little bit tricky at first, is how can I pre-configure my permissions? You can see that script configured permissions. Okay, so if I look down here, you have this, somewhat grungy approach that you have to use. Once you create the application itself, you then create these required resource access, and note that you have to use these GUIDs that are specific to the permission. Now, one other thing I wanted to show is that I did, work with this quite a bit. And so there's a little trick, and that is if you take the app ID for the Power BI Service API, and then we basically get an object and we enumerate through, we can basically see all the delegated permissions that it supports. So I just run the script, I spit this out, and it would be kind of easy if we could work in terms of this, but you have to work in terms of this with the PowerShell model. So being able to kind of come through here and add in these pieces, just allows you to create the application and configure whatever required permissions that you need. Okay, now as we keep going through here, next thing we're going to look at is programming with the Power BI Service API. Okay, so what is the Power BI Service API? It's an API built on open standards. So from a security perspective, OAuth 2 and OpenID Connect. And then as I make calls into it, it's REST-based, and many of the methods basically are compliant with the OData specification as far as returning data and having to send it data. Now, it's secured by Azure Active Directory, and it just kind of gives me a great way to program and to do things like publish PBX project files. If I want to write a piece of code to reach into a particular data set and go to a data source and change its connection string, or to trigger a refresh, all those type of things are available. If I want to create an app workspace and put it in a dedicated capacity, once again, the API is just kind of getting better and better. Now, it's important to differentiate between two different parts of what we kind of think of as one API. So there's both user APIs and admin APIs, and it turns out that the people that work on these live in different places. The user API team lives in Israel, and most of the admin API team is back in Seattle. And when you use the admin APIs, generally you're going to see as admin in the name of the method. To use the admin APIs, you also have to either be a global tenant admin or a Power BI service admin. And once you basically authenticate that user, you have to ask for a special permission, but then you get back this user-based access token that lets you call in and do things like discover every single app workspace, in the tenant, regardless of whether the current user, is a member or not. When you're using the user APIs, you can only touch things, app workspaces, in which you are a member. If you create an app workspace, you are an admin of that app workspace. But other app workspaces, someone is going to have to add you, as some type of user, whether it's an admin or a member or a contributor. Okay. Now, once again, when we authenticate, we're going to need to call, into Azure Active Directory, get that access token, then we can call the Power BI service. Okay. I mentioned there were 2 different endpoints, but because the other endpoint's been around for 5 years, let's look at the new one. Okay. You might not feel the need to move to this tomorrow or this fall, but remember that Azure Active Directory library is pretty much baked. There is no features that are going to be added to it. We get things like device code. We're going to have new, authentication flows that are created over the next couple years, but not the Active Directory authentication library. Microsoft's investment is now in the Microsoft authentication library. So while it's not essential that you move quickly, I would put some effort into kind of moving as soon as you can, definitely over the next year. Now, one big difference between the old and the new, when we worked with the old library, you would just have a string that identified the resource. And you would basically configure permissions, inside the app itself. Now, when we make the call to authenticate, we can pass what we call scopes. So here are the scopes for Power BI. It's just basically a string array. And the idea is when I authenticate and I basically pass a set of scopes, if the user hasn't consented already to one or more of those scopes, it basically just kind of brings up that dialog and makes the user consent. Okay. What's really nice about it is with the Active Directory authentication library, you always had to get all the consent at once. So if you're doing 10 things that aren't that important, but one thing that takes super, top secret admin permissions, you had to ask for everything at once. Now with the Microsoft Authentication Library, if 99% of the time we just use permissions that the user is going to be fine with, and then when the user goes to the third menu and clicks that one button, then we can basically interact and get them to consent to the, the admin scope inside there. Now, if I look at some of this programming here, unlike the Azure Active Directory Authentication Library that just had one authentication context class, now there are different classes depending on whether you have a public client or a confidential client. A confidential client is one that has secrets, and if I have a confidential client, let's say that I go back here to Azure AD, and we have one of these clients here, which is what we're going to use for app only. And I go inside here and I go to keys and certificates. Notice that this one has a couple different keys or secrets. And the idea is I can add as many as I want. And when I add one of these keys right here, now you have this one-time opportunity to kind of copy and paste that. So it kind of acts like the password, for an application as opposed to a human being. And that's something that you need the GUID for the application, which is called the application ID or the client ID, and you need this key, or this secret, which is called either the client secret or the app secret inside there. And the idea is that now, when I write this code, and, well, this one, actually, we're not quite at the client credentials yet. So this is kind of user authentication. If I go back, here's a couple other examples of, using the password or using device code flow. Okay. Here's an example of once I get the, using the as admin functions. Okay. Now, once you get the access token, you want to call into the Power BI service API. You could basically just figure out what the URLs are and deal with the HTTP requests yourself and kind of deal when the request comes back with taking the payload in the body, which is generally JSON, and serializing it back and forth. So one of the nice things about working with the Power BI.NET SDK is if you're writing code in C# or VB.NET, this SDK does that work of executing the HTTP requests basically getting the responses, serializing the payload, and making it so it's just easier to get your work done. There are times where they'll release something new into the Power BI Service API, but it's not yet covered by the SDK. So there are definitely times when you need to make raw calls. The one thing that comes to mind right now is that if you're creating streaming data sets, there is a lot more capabilities if you basically just create the JSON document that defines what the data set is, and you basically just do a raw HTTP call. But what I found over the last 2 years is at first they didn't do something like wrap the ability to upload a PBX file. So I write 35 lines of grungy code, and then all of a sudden the SDK covers it, and all of a sudden I throw away that code and have 4 lines of code because the SDK just kind of makes things a lot easier to work with. Okay, but just realize that there are occasionally times when you need to make raw REST calls. Now, to get the SDK into one of your packages, you're going to add this NuGet package, and now once you get an access token, you're just going to be able to create this top-level object, which is the Power BI client. And you can kind of see that once you create the Power BI client, we're just going to do things such as pbi client.reports.getReports. Okay, and here's just a couple examples of if I know what workspace I'm going to, I can enumerate through and figure out what are the data sets, what are the reports, what are the dashboards. So some of the applications I'm going to show you, we're going to hard code in an app workspace ID, but then once we get there, we'll discover what reports and what different dashboards are there, just so we can kind of have a dynamic menu option. Now, let's talk a little bit more about app-only authentication. When I'm using app-only authentication, we're going to use client credential flow, but also you've got this app-only token. And what we're going to see is that it's going to have admin rights over a particular workspace. And the last thing you want to do is take an access token like that and pitch it back to the browser. You're just opening yourself up for an attack. So what we do with app-only, what we do with the app-owns data model is instead of taking the Azure AD access token and passing it back to the browser, like we do with user-owns data, we call back into the Power BI Service API, and we have it generate an embed token. So while the app-only token is admin across the whole app workspace, when we create an embed token, it's only good for one report, and it's marked as edit, or view only. So it's a much more restricted token. Now, here's an example of, creating an embed token. We're going to see some examples in the code as I go through. So let's say that we want to do an app-owns data model inside here, and you can kind of see that we're going to, first of all, make a call to get information about our particular report. So PBI client reports, get report in group. One little comment is that in the SDK, in group means it's part of an app workspace. If you don't have in group in the name, it generally means personal workspace, which we generally don't use in any type of production application. So all the methods that you have that are going to be accessing reports and dashboards and data sets are always going to have in group. And basically that just means that an app workspace and the app workspace GUID is always going to be the first parameter that you pass. Okay, then I create the embed token with a call to generate token in group. And now I've got data that I can pass back. So this might be my middle tier code that's passing code back to the client tier code. Okay, and while I don't want to dwell on these slides, I just want to include some screenshots of doing the same thing but getting information for a dashboard. Okay, now let's talk about app-only access control. This is the big new feature that really makes things a lot better for us and allows us to use the app-owns data model in a much more secure and best practice fashion. So the way that things work is your app has a service principal behind it. And that kind of acts as the app's identity. So there's a couple steps we have to do. First of all, there is a tenant level setting that we have to enable, which allows not just users, but service principals to be able to call the Power BI Service API. Okay. Second, we're going to take that service principal and we're going to add it to our app workspace as an admin. Now, what threw me off about this model at first is I was looking, how do I configure permissions? And then I came to the realization that there are no permissions involved. It's just a matter of the app being recognized with a specific identity, and that identity being an admin in an app workspace. So I started thinking, well, why didn't they just give me the app only, the application level permission, so that I can read all app workspaces? And one of the things that we're worried about is we don't want an app going on a fishing expedition throughout a tenant and basically just looking and choosing what are the app workspaces we want to go to. So it's a very deliberate model where somebody has to give an app access to one or more app workspaces. So it might take a little bit more work to set up, but it's going to be far more granular. Is there a question you have? Go ahead. I'm sorry, I can't.
So this SPN should have pro license, right?
One nice thing about this model is that we don't need a pro license, where when we use the older app owns data model, when you had kind of the master user account, that needed a pro license. But when we go to the app only model, applications can't be assigned licenses. I can't say, maybe these guys here from Microsoft wanted to charge you, but they couldn't figure out how to. I'm just kidding. No, but basically there is no licensing required when you have an app only connection. Do you want to put a comment on top of that?
Right, and don't think you're going to get a free ride. If you're going to try and log into the browser client with SP, you won't succeed. What you get is user REST API access. So the service grants you REST API access, but you won't be able to log in into browsers. If you want to have visual interface, you need to have one pro license to develop.
Yeah, that's correct. But the thing is, I want to integrate this one with the portal, right? So then use the SPN to access the reports created through the pro licensed users.
Yeah, you will be able to, because you're going to grant access and Ted's going to get there. So, but the short answer, you don't need a pro license. You get user level REST API access to complete all embedding tasks.
Okay, now there is this tenant setup aspect. So let me go quickly, back into Power BI. Let's go back up into admin portal. Let's now go to tenant settings, and then we're going to go down to developer settings. So what you're going to see is that with every single tenant, we now have this setting, but it's turned off by default. So typically your tenant has lots of applications, and we don't want them just to be able to call into the Power BI Service API, especially if we have the default setting that anybody can create a new app workspace. So we have to basically, first of all, enable this setting. Then the next step is to create a Azure Active Directory group. So let's say that we go back here to Azure Active Directory, we look at groups. So here is the group that we created, and then we basically configure the group. And then it's a matter of creating applications. So for instance, if I go back here and we look at this app owns data application, if I open this up, I can see the application ID. That's the GUID that would be the same across all tenants. Down here, the object ID is what we call the service principal ID. And what has to happen is that we have to basically add, as a member, this particular group inside there. Just to kind of show one other thing with PowerShell right here. Let's say that we go back and we look at our registrations here. Let's now go back to PowerShell for a quick second. And as I get back here into PowerShell, I'm going to register app owns data. This one I'm going to change the name a little bit so we see something different. Let's go ahead and run this right here. And note that when you run these scripts, you can capture things like the GUIDs and the application secrets, because you generally have to copy and paste those into your code. But if I go back here and I kind of take a look, and we've created this application. Notice that because it's app only, if we go back here, it's web. There's no redirect URI. Redirect URIs are not used with app only authentication. If I go to clients and secrets, we have to have a secret there, but there are no permissions. And then finally, what's very important is if I go back to groups and we go back and we kind of take a look at this group, that my service principal got added into that group. I included these scripts down here, including some code, that not only creates the app, but then figures out who the service principal is and automatically adds it to that one group. So now my service principal is enabled to talk to the Power BI Service API. Now remember, it can't talk to anything unless it's been made an admin of an app workspace. So another thing that we're going to have to do is, final step, let's go back to whatever app workspace that we're using. Once we go back to this app workspace right here, and let's go here and workspace access, and now we'll basically look for and they don't really even make you, at first, if you're using PowerShell, you have to really differentiate between the application and the service principal, because they're two different things. But through the UI, it just shows you the application name, even though you're adding the service principal, and you're going to add it in here as an admin. And now, when you get that app-only token, your application code has full administrative rights to everything inside of this app workspace. Okay, so that's the new big thing that we're supposed to use whenever we're using the app-only model. Okay, just to kind of go through what I just did, I created the group, and then we enabled the group in Power BI, and then it's just a matter of creating apps and adding the app service principals inside that group, and then also making sure that we're added as an admin. Okay, and I just kind of included the steps here in a couple slides, just so you have a checklist of what to go through as you're kind of setting up for this particular model. Okay, and then finally, when it comes time to get an access token, I think you'll find the code's pretty easy. You just copy and paste what I have in my sample application, very few lines of code. And the other thing, if you're moving over, from the older model where you had a master user account to this new model, you generally just have to fix a handful of methods, to get the access tokens. Once you basically get the access token and hand it to the rest of the application, nothing changes inside there. Okay, so once again, the changeover, once you understand the concepts, is not going to be that painful. Okay, now I want to do a couple quick demos here. Now, when we use the app owns data model, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that your code can do anything it wants, and there's nothing about any user that's going to change your permissions. However, two different users, I don't want to give the same ability into the back end. So what I want to do here is show a couple examples. And so in particular, let's go and look at this one demo, which is called third-party embedding. Now, with this demo, because app owns data, doesn't care who your users are, you're the one who has to authenticate your users. So what I wanted to do is kind of create a pretty simple proof of concept demo here. And I'm using the ASP.NET Core identity model, which kind of just allows me to kind of hard code usernames and passwords. And I've got some usernames here. One user is going to be an admin. So what I want to do is just kind of show you kind of how to get started in your application authenticating the users, and has to say, oh, this user is more important than this user. So how do we kind of light up the user interface in the feature set so users that we see as administrators or in other roles have more permissions inside there? Okay, now let's go ahead and start this up. And so Jason B is an admin, and all the other users are not admins. So let's go ahead and log in, and we won't log in as Jason B, we'll log in as Austin P at first. I log in here, I can kind of see, is this user an admin? This is just kind of the ASP.NET Core identity model that we're using here. But now let's go look at a report. And as we look at this one report right here, what we see is the user can't get into edit mode. Okay, let's log off. Let's log back in. This time we're going to log in as Jason B. We'll go ahead and log in. And now as we go here, notice that we have edit mode, and we're allowing this user to go through and make some changes, to the data, and to be able to save that data back inside there. So if I kind of look at, how are we, building this functionality inside there, well, there's the first cosmetic aspect. And if I go back and we take a look at reports, you can see that if you can detect who's an admin and who's not, You can put up a toolbar or take the toolbar away, but that's really kind of a cosmetic change, not really a secure change. So if I go back here and we kind of look at the code, what we can see here is that we have some code that is going to look at the user, figure out whether the user is in the admin role or not, and then when we create the embed token, if you are an admin, I will give you an edit embed token. If you are not, I will give you a view token. So the idea is we're really kind of implementing an enforced security model inside there. Now, I'm going to move through some demos pretty quickly here. I want to look at one other one so I can kind of introduce how we can work with role-based security. Now, if I take a look at this inside here, you have something which is called an effective identity. Now, if I go back and I take a look at this one particular model right here, because whenever we want to start with role-level security, it always has to start in a Power BI desktop project, and you can define your roles inside there. So in our case right here, what we are going to do is that we're going to define a couple different roles, and you can kind of see that I've defined roles for things like central sales, just by putting something inside there. Now, if you were using first-party embedding, or you're just kind of using Power BI out of the box without development, you create roles, and then you map your users and groups to those roles, and it just works. Okay, but now we're using app-only authentication, and Power BI doesn't really know who the user is, because it's just one identity connecting to Power BI. So the way that we make things work here, let's go back here, is we use what's called an effective identity when we create the embed token. I can get the access token, but now if I'm in one or more roles, those can be added inside there. Okay, now let's go take a quick look at how we're setting up security here. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and create a bunch of different roles. And while this is not required, I find it handy. In my security system, I create roles that have the exact same name as the roles in my Power BI desktop project, because then it gets to be kind of easier to map things inside. So notice that we have something like James B is in Eastern region. We have Maxwell S in Central Sales region. Okay, so if we go ahead and run this right here, what you're going to see is that programmatically you discover something about the user. You then create an embed token that has one or more roles baked into it. Okay, so let me log back off. Let's log on as Maxwell Smart, and now we'll go ahead and look at things. And because Maxwell Smart was put in the Central Sales region, he sees Central. Let's log back off. Let's log back in. Let's log back in as our buddy James B. And now we'll look at roles one more time. And we basically now we're able to just bake the roles into the embed token, and things work as you'd expect with role-level security and the different roles that you've created. Now, just going off-road a little bit, let's say that I want to track things state by state, and I want a more flexible model. So here I'm kind of using something that the ASP core model allows me to do, and that is to add claims to roles, and then I can discover those claims. And we're going to complement that by, inside of our project, we're going to add this one role, which is called state claim. And I'll basically just say, search state. Now, in some cases, my understanding is that you're using Azure SQL analysis services, and I'm not sure if any of the Microsoft guys can answer, but I don't think it's quite working yet, so we have to kind of use username when we have Power BI models to kind of pass just arbitrary data inside the effective identity. But what we're going to do here is we're going to do something where we have some little formula. In this case right here, the username is actually going to have the states inside there. So let's go back, and if I now run this, and let's say that I log back in this time I'll log back in as James B, and now we'll kind of look at reports by state. And you can see what states James B is getting, great. Let's kind of go back here, and let's now kind of add one more row inside there. And let's go ahead and run that one more time. So the idea is that if you can start tracking, things about what state each salesperson is going to be in, you can kind of track that data in some database of your own design. What we're going to be able to do, is have something where you don't have to keep creating role after role inside your Power BI desktop project, but you create one role with some kind of formula that you can trigger inside there. Okay, so once again, food for thought about how to get dynamic row level security and working with effective identity. Okay, so as we keep going through here, next thing I want to do is talk about single page applications. So with single page applications, you don't have any server-side code, but everything runs pretty much in the browser. Now also, I wanted to kind of get away from Visual Studio for a couple of these demos. So if I go back here, there's two demos we're going to look at, one of which is going to be the Power BI Day Spa. Let's go ahead and open this thing up. So when I open this up, it's created with React and TypeScript and Webpack. So the idea is that you have this tool set where I can say npm run start, and that's going to kind of start up my application. Now also note that when you use TypeScript, I can basically start doing things like creating interfaces to model the data that I'm going to be passing back and forth. I've got a set of TypeScript classes I'm going to refer to as service classes. Here's the one that talks to the Power BI Service API inside. Note that as you're now working kind of in the browser, there's no more .NET SDK. So you have to get comfortable figuring out what the URLs are, to be able to make calls inside. Okay. Also, this example uses the Microsoft Authentication library. And so if I come back here and notice that, I can get a good login, log out experience inside here. Okay, so let's log in, as a particular user. Once we have logged in, let's go back here and kind of look at something, such as there's our attendee backgrounds, what type of questions did some of you have, where are you from, so it's just a normal embedding application. Okay, here's some of our favorite people here. But, once again, if I, bring up something, such as Fiddler, and as users are, working with the app inside here, we basically just are emitting calls, and we just have to figure out, how to use the Microsoft Authentication library, the JavaScript version, to be able to interact with an authentication flow, and get back an access token. Now, since you've seen that, let's take one more step. Now, one of the things that's common, if I go back here, I want to do one more quick thing here. Let's say I go ahead and launch this application. And as I launch this application and I sign in, what I want to do is let's take a look at a particular dashboard. So I go back here and, any second now, are you going to work here? Okay, something strange happened. Let me go ahead. I think I stopped the application from running. And let's see if I can make this point before I go to one more demo here. Okay, so the point I am trying to make is that let's go to this dashboard. Okay, so someone's looking at this dashboard, great. Meanwhile, I have people who are, back, inside of the app workspace, where we're managing the content. Okay, and someone's, doing a little bit of work, starting to move things around inside here. And what you can see is that when you're embedding a dashboard from an app workspace, it's live. If someone's making changes, they see those changes. So one of the things that's new is that instead of embedding off things in the app workspace, we can embed off things in the app. So you probably know about the whole idea of how an app workspace publishing as an app. And without doing development, just when users are using the Power BI portal, you have this wonderful thing where the builders can push out V1 on Sunday night, and then they can work all week on V2, but the users still see V1 until we click the button and push something back out again. Okay, so what we have here is, let's go back, and I've got a user owns data demo, and here is some of the things that we have. Let's say that as I'm working with this, I've been able to publish it, and now it is seen as an app, and just going through the UI, the user can see the app. Okay, so now what I want to do is let's close down the application that I have been working with, and now that I've done that, I'm going to open up one other application, but this one is going to go against the app, not against the app workspace. Okay, let's close that. Let's now go back here and open a folder, and this is the user owns data consumer app. And so as I run this right here, notice that if I look at app settings, I don't have the app workspace ID, I have the app ID. Note that if I go into the browser and look at apps, you can kind of see, what is that particular GUID inside there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run this application right here, npm run start. And now that I've run this inside, now this user is actually looking at the app. Now, one big limitation of going against the app is it's read-only. So everything I did before, as far as taking a report into edit mode or creating new reports, that's off the table. But the big benefit here is that someone's looking, at this app workspace right here. Let's go back and let's go back to user owns data. Let's go back to this right here, and I want to make some particular change, such as this change right here. And now, as we look over here, nothing's happened. Okay, but now, after a week, we decide to, update the particular app. Let's go ahead and choose update. We haven't updated yet. We come back here, we go ahead and choose update. And once we've done that, we should be able to see. Sometimes it takes a hard refresh to see that coming back inside. But what you'll see here, if I can get it working here, is that now I can kind of push out my changes so that we're not kind of worried about the people who are maintaining the content doing things that are going to kind of upset our particular user base. Okay, one last demo. I think I got about 2 minutes left. There is a demo that I have which is called Power BI Embedded Scratchpad. I created this demo a couple years ago. And what it does, it's a proof of concept application. When you run it, it will automatically get the data that we need from the Power BI service and an embed token, and it will hard code it into an HTML page and bring that up. Now, what's kind of neat about this is, let me turn this to false. Let me go ahead and basically say, uncomment all this code. Now, when you run this application, it's going to create a folder, and it's going to create pages inside there. So let me open this up with Visual Studio Code. Let me go back here, and run the application one more time. And so the idea is that as I run this application, it's going to create a bunch of different demo pages. And the reason I created this application was just to really focus on what it takes to write the client-side JavaScript code to do the final piece. And what's kind of neat about this inside here, other than the fact that it didn't work here, let's see, is that just we can basically look at some simple code from what's required over on the client side. Okay, why that did not work, let me go ahead and try one more thing here. Maybe I took the wrong one. Demos, Power BI Embedded Scratchpad. Okay. I must have deleted the application itself. Okay, let's let this work. Okay, I'm sorry, I kind of out of time anyway to run that demo. But I guess just to kind of finish up on the Power BI JavaScript API, it's got its own GitHub repository. You know, I'd recommend that you go and take a look at that. But one of the things this API does is it creates this iframe for you. It somehow sticks a security token inside of the iframe and does everything it needs to kind of light up that embedded object. But now you have this problem where your JavaScript's on the page and you then have an iframe from a different domain, so you can't just reach in with JavaScript and start manipulating it. So one of the things this library does is behind the scenes it has this work where it's doing post-message API calls, you know, from the page into the iframe and back. And what that does, it gives us the ability to have this object model, and it hides a lot of tricky code that we don't have to worry about. But when it's time to create an embedded object, you're going to call pbi.embed, and you get back this report object. And that report object has methods like switch mode to go into edit mode, and then we have one called print, we have one called full screen, and then also it kicks off events. So if I get the report object and I want to register events on it, and note that, you know, here is the simple code right here. I call Power BI embed, and I get back this report object. And then if I jump to the next slide right here, you can also see that when you create that object, you can also say report on, and you can handle, you know, any one of these events inside here. And so that's a pretty important part of the programming model. So once you've done all the server-side work, the fun doesn't really start till you start writing the client-side code. And the client-side code can do all kinds of things, you know, such as give you a page navigation scheme, so you can navigate from page to page or from bookmark to bookmark. And you can do things like, you know, implement custom report layouts. Okay, so I think I'm a little bit over, but Power BI Embedded Scratchpad is something I have a couple of videos up on it. If you look at the session I did last year, I took about 20 minutes to go through this. So hopefully you found this an informative session. Thanks very much for attending. I'd be happy to kind of take any other questions offline that you might have, but thanks for attending.